B92 na Exitu. Exit na B92. Specijalni program sa Petrovaradinske tvrđave. Svakog dana festivala. Četvrtak i petak od 18:30. Subota i nedelja od 18 sati. Informacije, gosti, intervjui, koncerti. B92 na Exitu. B92 na Exitu. Exit na B92. Exit na B92.
B92 uživo na Exitu, specijalni program koji se emituje iz backstage-a glavne scene na Petrovaradinskoj tvrđavi. U petak uveče u ponoć headlineri festivala sastav Placebo, basista benda Stefan Olstal, naš gost u programu. Stefan, welcome to B92 Radio.
Thank you.
It's nice to see you again. I actually saw your performance in Belgrade 7 years ago in the year 2003. Can you remember that show, maybe?
It was hot and sweaty, and it was our first time here, and it's always a bit weird to play a place for the first time, because you don't know what it's going to be like. You know, we're kind of used to going to a place for the first time and playing in front of 50 people in a dingy old rock club, but it wasn't like that here. It's just, I mean, you find out, the places that haven't sort of seen as much or get as many bands coming through like we're used to in London, for example, so you kind of get a sort of enthusiasm that kind of a sort of more a fresher, it's like the more you kind of
like seeing something for the first time.
Yeah, and there wasn't that many bands that were coming here at that time either, so it felt good for us to kind of start our sort of story with this part of Europe back then, and kind of come back now.
When you perform, do you prefer big areas or some smaller, intimate venues? When do you enjoy mostly?
Today is the first festival show for us this summer, and it's going to be. We're gonna bring out sort of the more energetic, a bit more sort of relaxed and a bit more, I suppose, fun kind of set list. Kind of going away a little bit from the sort of more darker material that we've been playing on this tour. So that's the thing about festivals. We kind of relax a bit more, and you become kind of the soundtrack to people's weekend. People hanging out with their friends, drinking beer and just, So that's the beauty of festivals. It's a more relaxed vibe, and everyone's kind of out to have a good time. Intimate venues can be. You have more control in those kind of situations, over the lights and the sound and so forth. So that it's different. So right now it's just great to be out, doing the festivals again, because we haven't done it in a while.
And when you remember the time you met Brian Molko, and when you decided to form a band 16 years ago, did you expect that Placebo will be a so successful band?
It's weird, because you have dreams, but the dreams get bigger after you fulfill a dream.
Yeah.
There's always a bigger dream, there's always sort of a bigger goal. There's always something else you can achieve. So no, is the answer. We're still kind of it's still a bit of a dream that we just slowly realize is actually reality, and going, shit, this is a pretty good life.
And when you listen the first records of Placebo and the last one, Battle of the Sun, what would you say? Which one is better, first or the last one?
They're different, obviously. They're made by people who are completely, different stages of their lives, and there's 15 years of experience between the two.
Yeah.
But there is one thing about music, is that it kind of keeps you young, because there's something about it that kind of stops you from growing old. And I think the first album and the sixth album, what they have in common is it's still a rock band,
Yeah. And
we still like to turn up and
on the last album, you used some instrument you didn't use before, like trumpets, saxophones, etc. How did you get the idea to use that new music tools?
Well, we felt that with Sleeping with Ghosts and Meds, the previous two albums to Battle for the Sun, we experimented a lot with loops and electronica and synthesizers, and felt that we kind of pushed that to its logical conclusion for us. So Battle for the Sun, we just wanted to make something that's a bit more, I suppose, sort of organic, you know, and something with more timeless sounding instruments, and just make it sort of a big sort of guitar record that would still sound sort of fresh and modern in, you know, in 10-15 years, or you know.
And that was the first album with the new drummer Steve Forrest. How did he made the impact to the Placebo sound?
It hits hard. He's a young kid with a lot of ideas, so we kind of sort of had to hone down.
That's a lot of energy,
you know, and you know, the youthful energy, you know, of someone who hasn't recorded a full-length album before, or kind of toured the world, or been in a big band. So yeah, it's just sort of to hone him down and kind of just tell him just sort of stick to a couple ideas, you know, just sort of simplify what you're doing, and then that'd be enough, you know.
And when you released Meds in 2006, that album leaked to internet something like 2 months before the proper release. What's your opinion on sharing music via internet?
Well, it's kind of a bit of a minefield, you know. It basically comes down to the fact that musicians, they don't make the music for free, you know, and you know, you just got to keep telling people that, you know, it's okay for bands like Placebo who can tour a lot and kind of, you know, make the money to make more records that way. But for a lot of bands, that isn't the case. You know?
So, what are your plans for this summer? Are you going to perform a lot of festivals, or what are you planning? Maybe some touring during this summer or autumn?
Yeah, it's festivals basically this summer. It starts today.
Yeah, and it's great to start with the Exit. So, can you tell us what would be the set list? What are you planning to? Are you covering all areas of your career?
I think we're playing something from every album that we released.